What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NBA rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm joined today by AP. And AP, before we went on, we were talking about how challenging, not just betting the board, betting the totals, and of course, trying to create lineups has been this week with all the moving parts in and out of the lineup. How have you been dealing with all the crazy news right up to lock?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been doing this, long enough now to where, and I watch these teams each and every night where I can kind of just know, where the usage bumps are going to go as far as DFS goes. And, you get a decent feeling for how these coaches coach, who's going to get the bulk of the run minutes wise. And I ended up actually being wrong the other night. I had a nice little sweat there in the $15 100K that they have going on. I needed a big game out of Chimezi Metu. I thought he was going to get the start, and then he ended up not starting, but I ended up sticking with him anyway. I was very overweight on him. He played 17 minutes and put up like 28 DraftKings points. I needed like 33 from him, 33, 34 to be right there inside the top three. And so, man, I mean, it's, so it's adapting, it's understanding the injury news, being able to adjust on the fly. One thing that you can do if you're a member of Run Pure Sports is follow along the heat map. So, I mean, tonight, my family knows. I already told them, I'm like, look, I'm probably not going to be able to hang out until 10 Eastern tonight. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lock times, meaning that games lock at 5 different various times, 7 Eastern, 7:30, 8, 9, and 10. And it's crucial to understand the injury impacts at each various lock time because certain players become good plays, certain players become bad plays, depending on what injury news comes out. It's a tool that gets updated throughout the night and can help you, adjust your lineups.
All right. Well, with that, keeping that in mind, let us jump into tonight's slate. I'll tell you what, man, this is tough. I've been I really like betting overnights, and I was telling JSU yesterday, the fun thing for me about the NBA betting is it's like betting the NFL on fast forward as far as pregame betting because you're adjusting to the market. But in the NBA, like 2 hours is about a day, right? From the time the lines come out and the lines close. I'm not the only one who's not betting these openers. A lot of times I would check the lines before I go to bed, wake up, and I'd see these huge moves, obviously by sharp guys or big money guys coming in. These lines aren't moving as much, and a lot of people that I talk to are really hesitant to get these bets in early because we have so many moving parts. But we're going to do our best, and let's see what has moved so far. And I bring that up because in the first game we actually did get some line move, and this is one where I completely agree with the market. The Miami Heat opened at -5, -5.5, depending on the shop, all the way out to -7.5. They're in Orlando taking on the Magic. Now, of course, we can't do any of these previews without checking the injury report. So Caleb Martin's out. Morris is still out. Butler's out. We know Bam's out. Tyler Hero's questionable. There's a guy, Omar Yurtseven. Maybe you know him. I'm not familiar with his game. Markelle Fultz is still out on the Orlando side. No Etuan Moore. And then, of course, it's going to be rough with Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, and Mo Bamba all out. This Magic team, they are in the middle of the rebuild, and they're in the most painful part right after they sold off all the veterans, and they're trying to get the young guys some run. I believe that even though Miami's missing their best players, they're still the right side here. I really liked it at 5.5, 7.5. It's still a slight lean. And, of course, I'd like to wait to find out the news on Cole Anthony and company. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind too is Tyler Hero missed shoot around, which is kind of unlikely for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's questionable. I kind of think he might be closer to doubtful, but it's just pure speculation. And then Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Mo Bamba are all questionable, but all three need to play because with them questionable, they have 8 guys available for this game, and to play a game, you need 8 players available. So it's going to be one of those nights where it's just like, man, put on the coffee or whiskey, whatever your preference is, and buckle up and get ready because I'm already seeing like Davion Mitchell, who I thought was good to go in the later game. Now he's questionable health and safety protocols. So we'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, when I look at Orlando here, they still have, so they're going to be forced to play these 8 guys. And it's not like it's their scrub guys. They still have Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, a fine defender, Franz Wagner, like he's been decent, Wendell Carter, and Mo Bamba. So like at least it's a situation where the guys that are out are kind of those scrub guys off the bench guys. And, you could make the argument that Orlando's made up of the majority of like their players are scrub guys anyways, but you still got Cole Anthony. He's due for a nice bounce back game. If you're looking at box scores, just keep in mind, Terrence Ross was having like the game of his life last game, took usage away from everyone. So I would cross that game off the list when looking at this from from a DFS standpoint. I think it's an interesting spot. I think Orlando's going a bit under the radar, considering they only have 8 guys. Last time we had a situation where a team had 8 guys was the Nets the other night, and they were mega chalk. So I think it's an interesting spot in tournaments. I think Wendell Carter, Cole Anthony, you could make cases for these guys. They're going to be the usage leaders on this team. Chuma Okeke, a value that I think is definitely viable. Robin Lopez is going to have to get minutes. He's 3-1. It's an interesting spot. I feel more comfortable with like Cole Anthony and Wendell Carter, but yeah, then the Heat side too, they're going to have a tight rotation. I'm just pulling up my chart. So I have 10 players likely for the Heat tonight, and that is not including Tyler Hero. If Omar Yurtseven is out, I think Dwayne Dedmon, they're going to be very limited with bigs. So Dedmon's going to be forced into heavy minutes again. He's 5K. He's a guy that can really get it going. So DFS-wise, I think this game is interesting. Betting-wise, it's tough. It's going to be tough all night as well. I think I would give a slight lean to the Magic here, plus 7.5, just because they're going to be forced into a tight rotation around their best players, which isn't saying much, I'll say that. But at least you're going to get their best or better guys out there on the court, and you're going to get big minutes from those guys.
Franz Wagner was someone that jumped out to me, but he hasn't done that well lately. Maybe with the extra usage, is he worth a look tonight, or did they price him out at 6.2 on DK?
He's one of those guys that could just, in tournaments, I would not like exclude him from my player pool. There's going to be much better plays on the slate, but you just see it every now and then, like a random guy like him. I mean, he's capable of getting 40, I think. I mean, I think let me look real quick. He's done it twice this season, I believe, alone. So, I mean, he's capable of doing it. Not the easiest matchup, but this Heat team hasn't been as good defensively, with all the injuries that they have without Bam, without Jimmy Butler, obviously. But they still got PJ Tucker. Dedmon isn't terrible. Kyle Lowry, obviously a very good defender. I think Franz, I think he's a fine tournament play. I don't play him very much, so it's going to be hard for me to play him, but I think he's definitely in play in tournaments.
Yeah, I think they're good. Could be some value that's overlooked in this game. The total of 204. Do you think that's going to scare off a lot of people here?
Yeah, I do, and that's why I think this game is interesting because. And we have multiple interesting spots on the slate. Some are far more transparent than others. I think this is one of the sneakier ones in tournaments because, DFS is all about understanding minutes. It's all about understanding usage and opportunity and where it's going to go. When you have an 8-man rotation, the opportunity is going to be there. These guys are going to be forced into heavy minutes. So as long as the game stays close, as long as it is somewhat interesting from an offensive standpoint, I think these guys are viable.
All right. Well, I definitely think this was a tough one to get involved with, but you like the Magic there. So, I always like taking the points at home on a Friday night. So I'm willing to be swayed on this one. Now, this next one I have a stronger opinion on, however. I don't think you'll be able to sway me here. The Denver Nuggets are plus 2.5. They head to Atlanta to take on the Hawks. Hawks minus 2.5. Now I said people weren't betting into these markets early, but, a bit of an exaggeration. This number opened at 4, and I'm on the Nuggets. I made the play, and the market agreed with me. It's all the way down to 2.5. So the Nuggets are, a tough team, right? We've already talked about their injuries, and they just seem to, just continue to lose, top players. I see that Austin Rivers is now probable. That's actually, normally we would just kind of roll our eyes at that, but that's actually huge for a team that's really missing some depth at guard. JaMychal Green's still going to be out. Bol's going to still be out. On the other side, Bogdan Bogdanovic will still be out. Clint Capella is questionable. If he's out, I mean, I love this Denver spot. And then Onyeka Okongwu might make a season debut. I see him probable here. But my idea here is the Hawks have the deeper team. They have the better roster. They haven't been the best at home this year. And if it's a close game, give me, you can argue that Jokic is the best player in the world right now, probably the best daily fantasy option in the world right now. And I just trust him to get it done in a close game. If it comes down to a shootout between Jokic and Young, it's like JSU and I talked to yesterday. These guys put up the raw points, but at the end of the game, I trusted Durant a lot more than Embiid, right? Just right. His ability to get it done, his ability to make the smart play, and it almost played out just like we said. Embiid's out there at the 3-point line with the game on the line. I'd rather have Durant out there on the 3-point line here. So I think Jokic knows his strength, plays to him better. And in a close game, I trust him to get it done and absorb all that usage. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm locked arm in arm with you on this one, Spread. I like the Nuggets. I don't like betting against the Nuggets anyway, especially when Jokic is out there. He is the best player in the league right now, and I don't think it's a debate. I mean, you could argue maybe KD, what he's doing, but as far as efficiency, getting your team involved, and as far as stats go, no one is as just like, man, consistent as Nikola Jokic right now. It's incredible. And there's going to be so much value on this slate where, like, if you're new to DFS, lock in Jokic tonight. You're not going to be mad at yourself. He's consistently getting 63 plus. 62, 73, 75, 64, 72, 62. Are his last few results. I mean, the guy's just incredible right now, and the matchup should be good. It's a matchup where pace should be fine. He did fine against Capella last time, and with Jokic, it's like, man, there's not many matchups that are really going to cause him trouble anymore, just because he does so much on this offense. If he's not getting buckets, he's creating, distributing. I mean, he just gets it done. So. Yeah, him and Trae Young are where I am. I'm focused in this game, and then John Collins if Capella is out, but still, it's not the easiest matchup. I mean, Aaron Gordon, a very elite defender, Jeff Green, another strong defender as well. So it's not going to be easy for a guy like Collins. But if Capella was out, they would need to play him heavy minutes here.
Denver's another one with another shortened rotation. Zeke Naji was the guy who stood out to me there at 3-4. He scored 27 fantasy points in 22 minutes on his last outing. What do you think of putting Zeke Naji into a lineup as some value?
No, not on this slate. There's going to be so much value. We have teams with literally that have 8 to 10 players, and there's going to be just a ton of value to be had. So. No, okay. I'm anyone like that. I'm crossing off the list tonight.
Sounds like a plan. The Golden State Warriors are -4. They're in Boston to take on the Celtics. +4. Steph Curry, now the holder of the record, so they don't have that little media circus floating around them. They can play loose, free, and easy. Although, to be fair, they beat the Knicks fairly easily, even with that circling around them. Celtics in an interesting spot here, just as a team. They have to be hearing these rumors, and we're going into, I think it's year 4, year 5 of this Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum experiment, and they seem to be there seems kind of superfluous. They do a lot of the same things. Maybe time to move on. I'm wondering if that's affecting that team. Also, they ran a motion offense under Brad Stevens. Udoka's switched up the offense, but I don't know. Now I think it makes them a little too Tatum and Brown heavy. And I don't know if everyone's getting involved. And where I'm seeing that is when you don't touch the ball, you kind of get disinterested on defense, and it happens to, of course, you and I when we're playing pickup, but for these NBA guys, it happens too. They're not immune to it just because they are professionals. I see some people coming back here. Josh Richardson back, Romeo Langford back, Bruno Fernando back, all for Boston. Grant Williams, Jabari Parker, Al Horford, Hernan Gomez will be out. Otto Porter will be in. Jordan Poole is out. And of course, I don't know why Klay Thompson is on this report. He hasn't played one game all year. So I didn't bet this game. If you force me to choose, I would lean the Warriors, and my numbers say the Warriors. But I don't know if I want to take the road team on a Friday night in Boston. It just seems like a game where we could see a lot of the Celtics kind of outperform what we've seen from them this season. I do believe they're going to be up for this game. They're really, those Friday nights in Boston are wild. Talk about the pregame and everything. That's a definite wild arena to play in. My numbers say take the Warriors, but I didn't do it. Do you think I'm missing some value here, AP?
This is one of the spots I really like, and I'm on the other side. I like the Celtics here +4. Look, the Celtics, they just finished up a long road stretch. They've had a pretty tough schedule, relative to everyone else this season. Ton of road games. They get a bunch of games at home here, and they're coming off a nice win over the Bucks. And the Warriors, they're going to be out with what I think is who's been one of their best players. Probably like the third most important player on their team right now, in Jordan Poole. He's out, I believe, COVID protocols. So when the focus isn't on or what's happening is there's so much focus on Curry. Poole is there to kind of clean up, and they're not going to have that tonight. They're going to be forced to play guys like Damian Lee. Otto Porter is going to, and Otto Porter's done a really good job at stepping up. Gary Payton, another guy that's done a good job at stepping up. But with Jaylen Brown back, with Schroeder, with Marcus Smart, man, they should be good defending the 3-point line. And I think they're going to make it tough on Curry. We've seen some of these teams just zone in, focus on Curry, take him away, make these other guys beat you. And then the other thing, too, is Jason Tatum's playing good basketball right now. So he's been very good over the past, like 6-7 games. So I think it's going to be a little bit too much. I really like Boston here on the side, and I like the money line. I think Boston gets the win tonight.
Yeah, it's that's where, you can do these models, but I said it before, it's really tough to just type a bunch of numbers in and find winners in the NBA. You have to understand these situations. The numbers say Golden State, but you just, made a great case why the situation prefers Boston. So I'm looking at DK right now, AP. Jason Tatum is down to 9K. That seems like an overcorrection to me. How's he projecting for you?
He's such a good play tonight. I know the Warriors have been good defensively, but look, like Boston is another team that is dealing with COVID and with people out. Grant Williams out, Jabari Parker out, Al Horford out, Hernan Gomez out. So not like key guys on their team outside of Horford, but they are, Grant Williams, a rotational guy that can come in and kind of let Tatum rest. They're going to be a bit limited. So I think Tatum is in line, if this game stays close, for 38 plus minutes. He's 9K, and he might go a little overlooked because there's going to be so many phenomenal plays tonight. With the Lakers later, they have like 8 or 9 guys. So I think Tatum is a phenomenal tournament play tonight. And he's going to need a big night shooting for him to get it done. Or you could go the other way and you could play an absolutely unowned Jaylen Brown. The only problem is, he came back and played 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. You got to think that they could push him more if they need to, but extremely risky play. I feel far more confident in Tatum.
All right. And AP likes the Boston Celtics to get it done. He likes taking the points and a little money line there as well. You talked about a shorthanded Lakers team. Let's jump into that one. The Lakers are +1 going against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves down to -1. This was 3 earlier. What news is moving this? Let me see here.
So so the Lakers have a likely 8-player rotation. They probably have 9 or 10 available, but we're probably going to see only 8 guys are going to see the court. That unless Malik Monk's back. I'm still showing he's out, but I saw tweets that he cleared protocols, but we don't have an official word yet. So if Monk is back, that's another guard that would rotate in. Outside of that, it's Austin Reeves, Wayne Ellington, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, DeAndre Jordan, Carmelo Anthony, Rajon Rondo, and Kent Bazemore. So you're going to get a healthy dose of LeBron to AD here. I like the Lakers side here. I think you get LeBron, you get AD. They're going to do their thing, and Ross is off the court. I kind of like it. As weird as that sounds, I feel like the Lakers can go back to doing what they do, which is right now a lot of boring basketball. But I think it's going to be enough to get it done tonight.
Man, we were going to go head to head on this one, but I saw the news that moved this line. Anthony Edwards is out.
Yeah. Ant's out too. I think that's huge.
Okay. So when I wrote this one up this morning, but I wrote it about 6 a.m. my time, and he wasn't projected out at this point, and the line was 3. He's meant a lot to this team. I mean, he dropped 38 in the win the other night. He had 10 3-pointers, and I think that he also is that guy that just has the confidence, right? That feels like he's as good as LeBron, that feels like he's good as Anthony Davis, right? And has the confidence. And I think that gets kind of contagious with this team. Boy, that's rough, because I really liked Minnesota there if they were going to be at full strength. I thought this was a fun spot. One of my ideas was you're fading a shorthanded team coming off an overtime win. And that's just if you play that blindly, that's been hitting 50% over the last 5 years, 58%. And so that was just kind of one of my ideas there. The other thing is, I wasn't really impressed with the Lakers. I mean, to go to overtime against the Dallas team that none of us on the Run Pure team are impressed with, without Luka, right? Who's just been carrying that team up and down the court. And for them to have to, pull out the last second victory with Austin Reeves, the undrafted rookie out of Oklahoma, making that big 3-point shot. I just said, boy, this team is good, but they're just not there yet. Against the Minnesota team that had a lot of momentum going into this game, winning winners of 3 straight, and they were winning handily. They won their last game by 17 points. Just great wins there for the Timberwolves. But without Anthony Edwards in there, I worried that this team loses some of its swag. Of course, with him being out, that's a bunch of usage, right, that gets to get distributed amongst this team. How do you see this turning out as far as DFS?
Yeah, I see the Wolves side. It's going to be D'Angelo Russell to Karl Anthony Towns. And they're both very much in play. And then on the Lakers side, gosh, we want to bump up LeBron. We want to bump up AD. They're going to get all the usage, all the opportunities. So there are just so many really strong plays tonight that you really need to give good consideration to, because when you just look at the Lakers, I am showing some, maybe Malik Monk is in. I'm showing a projection now and ownership on him. So that definitely helps things and would allow me to not play some of these other dusty Lakers guys like Austin Reeves or Wayne Ellington.
I was going to ask you about Ellington. He got 37 in that overtime game. 37
minutes. Yeah, 24 fantasy points in almost 8 minutes, which that's the thing, is you have this Lakers team where who's going to be taking the shots, who's going to be distributing the ball. It's LeBron, and AD. So, and one of them is going to be on the court at all times, I think. The other guy, so then Malik Monk, and then Carmelo Anthony. But yeah, I think so. The Lakers, I mean, they've won what, 3 in a row. They've won 4 of their last 5. They've had an easy schedule. They lost to the Timberwolves, kind of an embarrassing fashion at home earlier this season. Mm-hmm. I think they come in, and I think LeBron, makes a statement tonight. And I think him and AD have big games, and you could stack it up. You could go, you could run it back with D'Angelo Russell, who has looked very good when Anthony Edwards is off the court. He's been a really strong distributor, and his rebounding rate has looked good too. So, maybe a triple-double opportunity, and then also you got, a little bit of revenge narrative too, if you're a fan of that.
Now I'm seeing the game that I was going to go to next in the rotation order was the Spurs and the Jazz. That just got pulled off the board. Are you seeing any news for that?
For which one?
The Spurs and the Jazz.
The interesting thing, and we were kind of making fun. I was making fun of it in chat, or laughing at it. I haven't seen any news. I mean, the Jazz are a team, like one of the only teams in the league not dealing with any COVID stuff right now. It's like every single player's healthy. So, I'm, as far as betting goes, I am staying away from this game. I don't I mean, maybe a slight lean on the over, but the Jazz here are favored by 12 points. I can't touch the side either way. And they've just been blowing teams out at home. If the Spurs can stay close and if they can hit threes, I do like the over here. So maybe a slight lean on the over, but I like some of the other bets tonight anyway, so I probably won't be even messing with this game. And then DFS wise, I'm just completely off this one. I mean, we have so many other better spots. This is the one game where both sides are relatively healthy. If you want to get cute and play Jordan Clarkson, he's cheap, but I don't think that you need to do that. I think there are higher ceiling players elsewhere on the slate tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually wrote up the over this morning, and my idea is the Jazz can score in the Spurs team. They're going through the growing pains of the rebuild as well. They're farther along than the Magic were, but you see a lot of these young players that are brilliant on the offensive end and not too good on the defensive end. And I'm seeing that Popovich is kind of letting them play through their mistakes. He's not necessarily like yanking them if they miss a rotation or miss an assignment. But this has led to the Spurs giving up a lot of points, not to mention Utah's been putting up over 120 points quite often. So I do agree with you on the over. And, hey, maybe, right, Rudy Gobert was patient zero. He's the guy that introduced COVID to the league, right, and spread it to some of his teammates. Maybe they got a little natural immunity rocking, and that's why they're able to get through this all. So, of course, they were all infected before the vaccine came out.
Yeah.
So be interested to see how this turns out, and if they just end up catching it in a couple days, or if just because they were the first ones to deal with it, their bodies are the most ready. It feels like Bookmaker does not have all these games on the board. Let me switch to a different one because it seems like I'm missing a couple here. But let us talk about.
I think the Bucks Pelicans, because that's one game I really like.
So that one is not on the board for me at Bookmaker. Usually they just lock it up. They just didn't. Oh no, it's all the way down here on the bottom. They just must have their times messed up. Okay, the Milwaukee Bucks are -2.5. They're heading to New Orleans, take on the Pelicans. The total is 219. Let's see, is Chris Middleton going to return? So Chris Middleton's probable. Yep. Portis is out, which sucks. He's a guy that we've really enjoyed, right? I've seen his name on the cores and on the heat map many times. Semi Ojeleye still out. Wes Matthews still out. Giannis's brother Thanasis is out. Of course, Giannis will be out as well. Only one name's on the Pelicans list, Dalton Homs, who's a player I'm really not that familiar with. So it looks like if it's Chris Middleton as well, I think I kind of like the Bucks here. Hey, they were able to get the win over the Pacers just with Drew Holiday. With Middleton back, I think that gives them another option. This Pelicans team obviously going through a lot of turmoil. Who knows when Zion will be back? Real rough for Brandon Ingram here once again, trying to drag a squad that's not that good. And Hoop and I talked on Wednesday, they're hoping the opportunity for some of these young guys like Alexander Walker and Kira Lewis to step up, and we haven't necessarily seen it yet. I'd say the bright spot of the season is Joe Val, but he doesn't fit with the timeline of the rest of the rebuild, so he'll probably be offered up as trade bait. Tough times to be a Pelicans fan. I like the Bucks. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I really like the Bucks. They're another side I really like tonight, -2. I mean, look, like this Bucks team, they kind of have this like next man up mentality. And, it kind of makes sense, as defending world champions. But they get Chris Middleton back tonight. You got some bigs there. I mean, it's going to be tough on them down in the paint. Sandro, Mamu, and then DeMarcus Cousins are your two bigs. They're going to try to, handle Valanciunas down there. So, I mean, it's going to be tough, but I think Drew Holiday is just taking his game to another level. I think he's going to be, once again, the difference maker tonight. Then he gets Chris Middleton back again as well. And Chris Middleton, 6'7" on DK. I mean, it's like DK is giving us these like free plays. And it's crazy. But so I really like the Bucks here. I just think that they're, even though they're down so many pieces, they're still more of the complete team. Jordan Nwora, he had a really good game the other day. I think they're going to use him quite a bit too. Just, at that 4 position. It would be tough if they have to give Sandro, Mamu, and DeMarcus Cousins, all the minutes there at the 5. You got to think like Valanciunas will have a field day. I mean, he's a guy that I have a ton of interest in tournaments tonight because I feel like if he stays out of foul trouble, he's going to get whatever he wants down there in the paint. And then what you do is you play Drew Holiday, you play Chris Middleton. I mean, those are two guys that I'm going to be extremely overweight on tonight, and I think most of the field will be also. They're just very, very strong plays in this matchup.
All right. The Charlotte Hornets plus 2.5. They head to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Now, I'm hearing news that we might see LaMelo Ball back tonight. That would obviously be a big boost. I see him as probable right now. Dennis Smith Jr., who was the, he was the star of that ESPN article about Rick Carlisle earlier this week. He's questionable for the night. CJ McCollum, of course, is still out. Tony Snell and Cody Zeller all missing for the Portland side. Pretty clean for Charlotte there, especially if LaMelo is back. This Portland team's, they're in turmoil right now. Damian Lillard, I believe, is playing through an injury. Doesn't look to be nearly the player that he was last season. And an ab injury is tough. So I think you can play through it, but are you the same guy? That's what it seems like we're seeing right now there. And this team is so Dame dependent. It's really tough to see them doing well without him doing well. I like the Hornets here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm kind of surprised by the side here. I was just looking at, so Blazers -2, and they've lost what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row. And I mean, then they have a win over the Pistons and 3 more losses. I mean, this team is hurting right now. So yeah, I'm with you. And the other thing too is the Hornets should be over their kind of COVID mess. They went through a stretch where they were forced to play 8 guys, and now they're getting all their guys back. They're, Kelly Oubre had that phenomenal stretch. Now he's coming off the bench. Played 16 minutes against the Spurs with how good he played. I mean, you got to think that he is a guy that they would lean on to get starter type minutes, but they have some depth. So I definitely like the Hornets here. I think you can play them. I would a slight lean to the over. This game's going to play fast. There's going to be a lot of points here. As far as fantasy goes, it's a little tougher. The Hornets are almost impossible to play now. Maybe, a Gordon Hayward, I'm not going to play him, but the point I want to make, it was interesting against the Spurs. The guy put up 54. He had almost one of his best games all year, and his team was healthy. I mean, it was kind of interesting to see. So my point is, I wouldn't be surprised if one player went off from the Hornets and got there, but it's a guessing game, and I don't really want to play that guessing game, and we could be wrong too with LaMelo back. So right. I think you fade the Hornets. I do like the Hornets side betting wise, and then the Blazers. I mean, the Hornets play at such a fast pace. They're not an elite team defensively. And the Blazers need to keep this one close. They need to try to get a win. If it stays close, I think it's safe to assume that maybe Dame has one of those good type games, relative to his price. Norman Powell's been a guy who's been playing really good. And then Yusuf Nurkic, finally a matchup with Mason Plumlee in there, where I wouldn't be surprised at all if at the end of the night Nurkic had one of those random games where he just absolutely goes off, 2020 type game. Yeah.
That would not be a surprise as well. We know that Charlotte always struggles going against big men. And hey, this would have been, Mangone would have loved the Cody Zeller revenge game, but it doesn't look like we will get that. The last game of the night is out to -7. The Memphis Grizzlies are now -7, heading to Sacramento to take on the Kings, and COVID is running rampant here in Northern California. Who do we got? Mitchell's questionable. Tyrese Halliburton's questionable. Terrence Davis is out. Rashawn Holmes is out. Metu, who you mentioned earlier, is questionable. Bagley's out, and Alex Len is out. The coach is out. Alvin Gentry will not be there. So former Kings star Doug Christie will be leading the team. AP, this game's in danger of not tipping off. If Mitchell and these guys get rolled out, they might scratch it.
Yeah, this is one game, so that definitely has some concern. Then the other side of it too. So okay, let's just say what I don't understand is they're saying Davion Mitchell is hey, look at that, Russell Westbrook is now available to play. So today is just going to be crazy, absolutely crazy. But Davion Mitchell, it says now questionable. COVID protocols. Like, I don't get what that means, because did he fail the test or not? Like, is he positive or not? It should be a simple yes or no. I don't see how he's questionable. Like, is he going back to get retested? I mean, it just makes no sense. Tyrese Halliburton and Chimezie Metu were out for or were questionable for non-COVID issues. So, and both played really well. So it says Metu, sore left knee, Halliburton, back soreness. I think those guys, unless COVID stuff comes up, are going to play. And so if they do play, and if Mitchell were to miss, they still have plenty of guys there to play. And the reason I think Halliburton's going to play, I mean, he played 39 minutes the other night. I know you were watching that game. I mean, he looked good. Like, he was distributing the ball. He was like, the offense was running through him. Things looked really smooth. And then Metu is a guy that just, man, he's a fantasy point per minute beast when he's out there playing good. And so if he plays, if both of those guys play, I'm going to have very, very high ownership or exposure to them. I just think they're absolute smash plays. And then it's going to be interesting. I'm going to side on whoever they start. Got to think that they start Tristan Thompson. That's my guess. Maybe you have a better idea between him and Damian Jones. And then I'm just going to avoid kind of the scrubs, Robert Woodford, Ramsey, probably Mo Harkless, guys that just don't do anything. And I'm going to stick with Halliburton, Barnes, Metu, Tristan Thompson, Buddy Hield is where I'm going fantasy-wise if this game plays. If it doesn't play, luckily there are two other games starting at the same time. So I do think there's some viability to waiting for this news. And if it goes south, there's going to be pivots to be made. But as far as the side, I would lean Memphis here, man. I don't know about you, but the Grizzlies have just been, like, whenever they're in these spots where they have the opportunity to absolutely curb stomp a team, they've done it. We saw it against the Thunder. We saw it against when they played let me pull it up. Didn't they just blow up the Blazers too? Yep. Yeah. So I would be really hard pressed to take the Kings here. I definitely like the Grizzlies side.
Yeah, I mean, the Kings have been a pretty easy fade, even at full strength. As far as speculating on the starting lineup, it's hard. I don't know how Christie's approaching this, right? Does he really think this is like an audition for a head coaching job? And if so, maybe he's a little more aggressive in making changes. But if he really just sees himself as a placeholder, maybe he doesn't want to, rock the boat or upset the apple cart, so to speak. So that'll be interesting. I think if he puts some changes in the starting lineups, that indicates to me that, hey, I want this job, right? Let me prove that I can do things differently and I can affect some change. If he, feels like, hey, I'm not ready yet, I need to get some more experience, especially because do you really want your first experience to be with this team, right? We'll get a better indication on how he approaches tonight's game. Yeah, our guy Pocket QB says Russell Westbrook's playing. I kept refreshing Bookmaker to see how much he means to the line. What did they say? Half a point. Russell Westbrook's worth half a point. If anything says about anything about his current state of play, I think it would be that line movement with him back in. So AP, it's going to be a tough slate to navigate. I think we did a great job here trying to do this at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. But really, in order to make an educated build, in order to be competitive in the NBA DFS streets, which basically there's not a lot of dead money. There's a lot sharper players in NBA than the NFL. I mean, I put up like 300 something 2 nights ago and didn't even min cash, right? When everybody rode those nets. So I'm not the only one that's taking advantage of all this. To be able to take advantage of that, you do want to become a member of runpuresports.com. You'll get access to the final countdown and, of course, the heat map and the cores as they're changing up to lock. So head on over to runpuresports.com. Use the promo code GETBETS. That gives you access to the bet side as well. So now that we have that out of the way, AP, let's give the people the best bets. What is your best bet for today's side total prop?
Yeah, my best bet. I was between a couple. I'm going to go Boston side. And then also, if you want to sprinkle some on the money line there, I think they're going to win outright over the Warriors tonight.
All right, you're taking a home underdog. I'll take a road underdog. I like the Denver Nuggets at plus 2.5 to get it done against the Atlanta Hawks. My quick breakdown was I think Jokic is better than Trae Young. I think it's a close game, and I just trust him more to get it done and get those key buckets with the game on the line. So we like 2 underdogs today. AP likes the Boston Celtics. I like the Denver Nuggets. Do you want to let everyone know about all the content Run Pure will be producing this weekend?
Yeah. So a couple new things. We just partnered with SaberSim too. We had a promo going, but it ran out. But still, go and check it out over at runpuresports.com. We got NFL coming in this weekend. We got all of the sports. It's going to be a wild weekend with COVID, just spreading everywhere. I mean, spread like I don't leave my house too often. Like we went and hung out with some friends. Would have been like last weekend or no, 2 weekends ago, and that's where I caught it. My buddy was out in California for a whole week, and yeah, we went out with them, had a whiskey tasting type event, and ended up catching it. Hit me. So if it can hit me, I mean, it definitely is going to hit these players that are out there traveling, interacting with each other and stuff. So, but luckily, for me, it was pretty mild. I had 1 or 2 bad days, and that was it. And hopefully, this new thing that's going around is mild for everyone else. It would just be good to get over all of this, whole deal and kind of move on. I mean, it's getting ridiculous, but at the same time, it hopefully can create an edge too. We'll be monitoring it all night tonight. Be in Discord, be checking the heat map and the other content over here at Run Pure Sports.
Yeah, I mean, AP, obviously it is rough what's going down, but my first thought when I saw this was showdown season, right? Because Run Pure's been absolutely killing these showdown slates, right? And this gives you 2 more opportunities, right? Because there's an extra game on Monday now, and I don't know if they're going to be individual games or they'll just be a 2-game slate. But regardless, it's the format that the coordinators have really been excelling at this season. So what do you do? You turn coal into a diamond, or make lemonade out of lemons. That's what Run Pure is going to do with all this news, because you guys have just been crushing that showdown. So I can't wait to be using some of that content as well, building some lineups and just enjoying the fact that we're going to have 4 days straight of National Football League. And of course, Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets will have you covered. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends. We're always trying to grow it. We have an active chat. I wasn't able to get you guys in there as much, but we always like a nice active chat, and I like to get you guys involved in the show. Tyler and I will be back in about an hour. We're going to be breaking down the best props for the NFL. And then I'll be back doing the NBA with with Travis Mangone on Monday, because Bobby Gomes will be down
live
in Florida.
Final. Yep.
Yeah.
Final. Big T. He's got a seat. I'm trying to think of anyone else that has a seat.
I think it's just Big T and Bobby from our team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's one I don't like. I won that MLB seat, but I'm not I don't do a lot of the qualifiers. It can add up. It can be, if you chase this NFL one, it can be really painful on the wallet. But man, I'm pulling for those guys, pulling for Big T, pulling for Bobby Gomes. One of those two is going to ship it for sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Bobby is real successful and kind of flying under the radar, right? Because he's a real humble guy, and he doesn't, necessarily pound his chest after the victories. But hey, he's a dark horse candidate for me. And if Bet Online or Bookmaker kind of put up some odds for there, I think Bobby might be my long
shot. Bobby Gomes,
might be my long shot dark horse candidate to go ahead and ship it all together. So much excitement going on over here for the Run Pure team this weekend. AP, thank you for joining me. We will see you soon.